Kumusta? And sino ba nandito? Walang tao. Hindi, nilagyan ko lang ng space to. Tingnan mo. Right. So, sino? Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Sa inyong tanan, mga gwapo. Pogi. O, sino yung... hindi ko alam kung single. Baka maaway. Si Kuya. More. O.M. More. Tama ba? How do you read your name? O.M. More? Bakit ba tayo nakapantulog ngayon? Kasi bedtime stories tayo dapat. Si Attorney Ahmed is actually reviewing material right now. Now, he just talked. He will be joining us in a while. And he will tell us if we will be using bedtime stories or something else that will make you feel like either sleepy or even more agitated. Yun. Ito. Actually, he's reviewing that. What is it about? It's in Luminous. Kaya lang I wasn't able to watch that. Do you want to play that again or what? We'll annotate it again. Okay. Maupay na gabi. Maupay is Visayas. Waray upay. Waray. Darne pala is waray. Good evening. Okay. So, for now, while we are waiting for Attorney Ahmed, ang nilagay kong ating title ay, meron akong kwento. Bakit meron ako? Okay, bago ang lahat, linawin lang natin na meron tayong magandang description ng kasaysayan ng ating mga kapatid na taga Mindanao. Kami ni Ahmed, we're from Mindanao. We grew up there. But we barely know the history of our place. Okay? And especially our brother Muslims. Like me, for example, I grew up in a city where there are only a handful of Muslims there. Watching from London, okay, there are more Muslims in London than where I come from. I'm sure. Okay, and the city is Oroquieta City, which I already told you. We were taught that it comes from the name Oro Kita. Oro meaning gold, nakikita daw sa aming river. But later did I know, and then I checked, somebody else also wrote about it, that it was named after a town in Spain named Oroquieta. Alright, and that town was popular during the Carlist Wars of 1800s. Nagkaroon ng malaking gera dyan which transformed Spanish history. And it must have affected us. Okay? So, sino to? Yun, Amik TV. Asan na ba si Kuya Amik? Walang sinasabi. How do you see him? Why do I see everything here? I'm not so sure. Ayun, ito pala. There's si Kuya Amik. UAE, United Arab Emirates. Uy, Kuya Roger. Okay. Importante yung lugar nyo ngayon sa usapan natin. If Attorney Ahmed will not will allow us. Kasi we can actually play that tomorrow because gabi na. So may nag-resign na taga BA. Yun ba yung sinasabi? Okay. So, what is this? Kwentong Marites? Sort of. Okay. Again, lilinawin ko. After that intro, you can go to the ncca.gov.ph and read this. I hope you can see that. Alright? It's a somehow comprehensive story. But I found the material kasi which I find interesting and you may wanna hear about this. because it's not even here. Okay, it's not even in the NCCA website. So, uy, akala ko headphone ko. So, Kamsur, Arizona, all of us, okay, this is a story that ranges from the Middle East to Mindanao, told by a British who was ordered by his king to go around the place in the 1700s. Interesting, right? Some of these tales are, it's actually a very short one, no? Not a very long one. And some of these tales are how do I call this? Hindi siya documentary, pero sinasabi kasi dito that there is a document. And the document that we are using now is the written account of the explorer. Okay, but he was telling that I talked to the king and they have a document that states all of this, and he talked to me in Malayan language, and the original is in a different language, and he translated it into English. Yun! And kayo dyan, no, sa Saudi, may kinalaman to sa inyo. Hindi. Actually, it's known naman that Islam in the Philippines was earlier than the Christians. No? The introduction of Islam in the southern part. Right? So, let me just pull up the material kasi nag-start ako kanina. And yun, nagkaroon ako ng konting loss of time. Okay, so let me see. So, JP, can you post the video na nandun si Attorney Trixie kagabi? I wasn't able to watch. It's in my page. Itong request ni Pinay Paparazzi. It's in my page. But I was really, I couldn't understand why it got posted only around, if I'm not mistaken, 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon kanina. I do not know why. So something, maybe ni-review muna nila, no? I do not know. Kung nagkaroon tayo ng censorship doon or whatever. I didn't review it after I saw it na, ngayon lang ito lumabas. Usually kasi right after the show, di ba? Lalabas agad yan. And then, biglang wala. Yun. So, let me just voyages. Ayaw. Uy, andyan si Attorney Ahmed. Mag-good evening ata to. Yep. What do you think?
Magandang gabi. Pasensya na kayo, nahirapan ako mag-connect.
Kailangan ba nating
Nahirapan ako mag-connect.
pag-usapan pa yung mga nagre-resign na?
Anong
Resign
kailangan?
Do we need to talk about those resignations?
Hindi na. Pero
it's news actually, no?
Hindi na kailangan. Continue lang pero bago muna magpapalit lang ako t-shirt ako.
T-shirt. Okay. Actually, Attorney Ahmed, my problem is this, no? I have the material in PDF or no, in JPEG. Okay? Kasi it's in PDF and it's very heavy because it's 600 pages. It comes from a 600 page na PDF and it's very heavy. So, yung pages na mahalaga sa atin ngayon, I just pulled up some pages from it. And then, now I wanna put it up. Hindi rin pala pwedeng maglagay dito ng JPEG. Attorney Ahmed, hindi ko yun alam. We're urban newbies kasi, so we're so sorry. And,
hindi, ayaw niya ng JPEG. PDF
your JPEG ayaw? PDF ang gusto niya?
PDF. Ginagawa ko muna ang PDF. Or open it in a browser and then share the window.
Okay.
Browser window.
That's what I'll do. Sige, let me do that. Ginawa ko na nga itong dalawa kasi mahirap to pag isa lang eh. Dahil alam ko itong mga kalokohan nila ng ganito, no? So why don't you come in and read their comments, their ano, kasi may request dito. I could not understand why alas 12 na siya ng tanghali lumabas yung video natin kagabi sa page ko. Did you notice that? How about sa'yo? Or sa Luminous? Attorney Ahmed. Yung video natin kagabi, the one we made last night with Attorney Trixie, it came up in my page only at around past 12 I think.
Mamaya.
What's going on? Or did I do something wrong last night? Did I say something wrong?
Nag-expire.
Ginawa na naman nilang expired? Para hindi lumabas? Or you did it?
Nag-expire.
Kaya nga, di ba it happened once to us? We started at the right time naman Di ba? Yun lang.
No. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Mayroong setting na i-expire siya after live. Kaya nangyari doon, after nating nag-live, when we disconnect it, expire agad.
But that wasn't me, no? Sino bang gumawa nun? Ikaw? Did you do that? I think I can share this now. Aha! Okay. Share. So I will share the screen and I think this is the one. Aha! Whoop! There you go. Okay. You see that? No. Okay. Nice.
Grabe ang sama ng internet.
Tanggalin natin si Jeddah. Where is Jeddah?
Narinig niyo ako?
Yes, we can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
Yep.
Because
Yes, we can.
I cannot see EP anymore.
Yeah. Your voice is very
Sama na
good. Hayaan mo na yung video, huwag mo nang pansinin. Basta nakikita ka lang namin.
Pero
na
ang video, mabagal, humihinto. Nawawala ka na dito sa akin
Sa inyo din ba nawawala ako? Please tell us. Kasi kung nawawala din ako sa inyo, we'll do a restart maybe. What? Do you see this
Sino
on the
po
screen?
ang nawawala? Ako o... Kasi, ano yan, libro?
Yep.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah. No,
Nawala na. Yan.
we need to ask them. Am I also laggy? Alpax, my video is also laggy.
Ako lang yata ang laging sa ating dalawa.
Kay Uncle AGP, ikaw yung laggy. Alright.
Oo, dalawa na nga yung connection ko Yung wifi ko at saka itong aking phone data.
Okay. Hinaan natin yung Dito tayo.
Anyway, yeah.
What is this? Okay. What is this book? Okay. The book is the title is wait lang. Let me just pull it up. Kasi mahirap nang nagkamali-mali tayo, no? Mahirap magkalusod-lusod. Okay, it is written in the 1774. Right? And we will not be able to read the whole thing because it is 600 pages. But the nice thing about this part, that's why I'm starting here, no? Is it makes some drawings. Kasi wala nga camera pa siguro nun na madaling bitbitin. Drawings of these places. Look. See that? Sarangani Strait.
Yes.
Okay, Sarangani. Okay. And then there's this island before the Batuki Harbor. Okay. And okay, it talks about this part of near the Basilan and the Sulu. Right? The Basilan islands between Sulu and Basilan. Beautiful drawings. Galing siguro ng mga tao nun, ano?
Galing, no? Pencil pa yata yan parang cut. Ano bang tawag niya? Wood cut or yung relief.
For the printing, no? For the printing, but the sailor who did this, no? Imagine niyo,
lithograph.
he he drew that when they were slowly coasting these places, di ba? And what is interesting about this is it talks about some history about the Sultanate of Sulu. Wala tayong alam doon saan
Yes.
sila nanggaling, di ba?
Why does it say? Why does it say?
No,
Why
no,
does
no,
it say
no.
that?
No, tayo. No, no.
In what way?
This book says that he was talking with the king of the Maguindano. Okay, the king of Maguindano, and the king daw told him about the history of the Sultanate of Sulu, and this part of his book is very interesting because we didn't know how and where they came from. Di ba? Yun yung pinapakita ko kanina sa inyo, no? No, no, no. Yung pinakita ko sa inyo, na written in the NCCA's website about the history of the people in Mindanao. It talks about different sets of cultural communities, sabi ni Attorney Trixie, but actually they're kingdoms, no? And in the NCCA material, they talk of 9 distinct groups that are considered as the major ethnic communities in Mindanao. And by ethnic, sabi dito sa NCCA material, they pertain to the Italian classification of kingdoms. Okay? Because we know even from Spanish sources that they refer to the people in Mindanao as divided into several kingdoms. Diba? One of which now is the popular Sultanate of Sulu, as having survived that whole history of persecution, diba? Or prosecution. Tama? But itong ating NCCA, meron silang sinasabi na nagsimula, especially the Kingdom of Maguindanao with a kingdom that was set up by Sharif Kabunsuan. Diba? We know him. There are places now named after him, no? Si Sharif Kabunsuan. And then, ito daw sa Sultanate of Sulu, according to the NCCA material. Again, it starts with the establishment of that, let me see. Para hindi tayo magkamali. No? Nawala ko na tuloy. I'll just open it again. Okay, so, ikaw, anong alam mo? Saan nagsimula yung Sultanate of Sulu? Based on what we know lang.
I don't know anything about that.
Di ba ako
I don't know anything about that.
As in, you were never exposed to any material about it?
Nope.
Sultanate of Sulu? Di ba? All we know is they are cousins with the Sultan of Borneo. Tama?
Brunei, Darussalam. Brunei, Darussalam.
Which is now Bolkiah, right?
Yes.
So kumbaga they're cousins, and then how did they become royals? Royals enough to be respected by the Spanish. Di ba? Kasi okay, we talked about the origin of sovereignty, di ba, na isa sa mga popular theories noon was the one by Austin, that if a ruler is usually followed by subordinates and he is not used to following another ruler, then that ruler is an independent sovereign. Di ba? So with that basic distinction between ordinary people and the sovereign group. Diba? And that must have been the ruling or the earlier concept of sovereignty that is in the minds of the Spaniards, the British, the rest of the world at the time, because medyo modern na tong ating mga social contract theory. Diba? The acceptance of the social contract theory things, these are modern thought. And
yes,
at
that
this
is a
time,
modern attitude.
At this time when they were making this, they were colonizing us. they were following a different perspective about the concept of sovereignty and the concept of who are countries, who are the people we can actually just invade or get food from or subjugate, di ba? Okay,
Mm.
so Sultanate of Sulu to the NCAA. NCAA. Ang sabi nila dito, it's
NCCA.
there's an NCCA ba? NCAA.
NCCA.
NCCA double C. Nash, ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Ikaw, can you tell
National
us
Commission on Culture and the Arts.
what's the difference between that and the other one, the other history commission ng gobyerno? Dalawa yan sila, di ba? Cultural Center of the Philippines, NCCA, and there's another one. Sino yung magkakaaway?
Wala
Ha?
namang
National
magkakaaway.
Historical
They belong to,
Commission.
one
Okay, okay.
umbrella.
No. National Historical Commission and then the NCCA. What's the difference? Is there any?
The NCCA is the umbrella agency that holds that has supervision and control over all the cultural agencies. So National Historical Commission is under the NCCA.
Under
The
siya.
Cultural Center of the Philippines is under the NCCA. The KWF, ano ba itong ano ba yan? Kagawaran, something like Wikang Filipino is under the NCCA.
So under sila lahat.
Marami. Pati yung
Ayun.
Film Development Council of the Philippines is under the NCCA. Ganyan.
Okay. Sabi dito sa NCCA na material. Sulu was the first Muslim community in the south to establish a centralized government. The Sultanate of Sulu in 1450. 1450, let's take note of that. The introduction of this sultanate implies that the indigenous institutions became Islamized. The sultanate was a superstructure imposed without destroying the old foundation. This was one of the reasons that made the sultanate strong. Hashim Abu Bakr was the founder and the first sultan of the Sultanate of Sulu. Hashim Abu Bakr daw. His father was an Arab from Hadramaut. Where is Hadramaut? Okay. His mother was a princess from Johore. Johore is in Indonesia. According to the Tausug Salsila, Abu Bakr belonged to a Sharif lineage. So Sharif kabungsuan din yun sa kabila, no? Which is one of the descendants of Nabi Muhammad. Okay? The term Sharif is a title of nobility. When Abu Bakr rose to power, he assumed 5 titles affixed to his name. Thus, his official name runs as follows: Paduka, Maulana, Mahashiri, Sharif Sultan Hashim Abu Bakr. Okay. So sabi ng NCCA, ang unang sultan was Abu Bakr. But this book does not.
So let's
yeah.
find out what that book is all about.
What this book says, no? Okay. What does this say? All right. Actually, I think we can jump a little bit. Okay. Marami kasi itong, so this was written in 1774. Okay? Up, there. Now, so sabi niya, dito sa kanyang libro, he was sailing, then he entered this place here. Okay? And if you look at the part, okay, tingnan mo yung pagkalagay niya, part of Maguindanao Island. So, he was actually calling the entire Mindanao Maguindanao. Okay? And even in the NCCA, they say also that the Maguindanao Kingdom was the largest kingdom in Mindanao at the time. So, ako I'm not a historian, but I'm now beginning to suspect. Did we get the name Mindanao from Maguindanao?
You
Hmm.
like
Huh?
us?
No. The island of Maguindanao, is it named, the island of Mindanao, did it get its name from the word Maguindanao? Oh, kayo dyan na, ano, maybe in your comments you can help us by,
I didn't understand that.
hindi daw naintindihan ni Google. I didn't understand that. Okay. Oh, tanungin kaya natin si Google.
I didn't understand that.
Hey Google, where did the name Mindanao come from? McDonald.
Sure, here's what the internet says. The mellifluous name Magdalena is a
Magdalena
feminine
daw.
title of Greek origin, meaning woman.
Hindi niya naintindihan yung Mindanao. Okay. So, he's saying here that he entered this place. Okay. There's a Pollock Harbor. When we find this in the map of Mindanao, I think we can, no? And then, you know, in a larger place, there's a Sugod Bay. And this is now the whole Maguindanao. Okay.
Ang sabi ng ang Mindanao daw is a Spanish corruption
Of
of the word Maguindanao.
Ayun. So it
The
really
word
comes from the
Maguindanao, which refers to the people
of Maguindanao,
that
whose
the
history
people
is
of
now here.
Mindanao.
Yeah. In this chapter
Okay.
number 4, it says here, the history of Maguindanao. Okay. And there's a date here, 1775 May. Okay. It's very interesting to find really old records of stuff, no? So usually the thing that looks like letter F, even in American old it's letter S. Okay.
Yes.
Nothing in the history of this island is on record before the Moors. Rather, the Arabs came to it about 300 years ago. So he is now talking in 1775, or 300 years ago, 1400s. It coincides with the history that the NCCA also talks about, 1400s, right? The country was perhaps then in the same state as the part now, which is inhabited by the Haraforas. So who are these Haraforas? These are old people, I do not know. Or Harasoras? Because it looks like an F. Harasoras. Are there people called Harasoras? Maybe Attorney Ahmed will tell us later.
Haraforas and Haraforas.
Who are they? What are they?
Seaborn people yan. They live in the Pacific Ocean.
In the
Western
Pacific
Ocean,
side.
so that's about the Philippines.
So meron din tayo niyan, di ba? Si
Near us.
yung mga yung seaborn natin na communities in
Badyaw. Yung mga
Badyaw.
nakatira sa atin, yan sila. Ay, hindi Badyaw. Arafuras ang tawag. Harafora.
But they're in the Davao side. Meron din kayo dyan na parang ganyan.
Badyaw.
Yun.
Samal Badyaw.
Okay. So the following short account, short lang daw, the following short account of the history of Maguindano, okay, is drawn from original records in the possession of Fakimolano. What is Fakimolano? Elder brother of Paharadin, the prefect, the present sultan. Okay. Paharadin, the present sultan, and father to Kaibad Zakariel, the present Rahamudo. They wrote in the Maguindano tongue an Arabic character. So Arabic yung sulat, but in the Maguindano tongue. I took it down from Pakimulano's own mouth, who dictated it in Malay. Okay, so lost in translation na to. So ang dami sigurong fake news dito, hindi natin alam. Okay, so we cannot really take this as a gospel truth, okay? Because this is now the, anong tawag natin dito? Marites part. Klarong-klaro naman sinasabi niya Marites to, ha? So he took it from Fakimulano. Who is Fakimulano? In the possession of Fakimulano. Fakimulano is the elder brother of Paharadin, the present sultan. Okay, so prince tong kausap niya. Before the arrival of Serif Ali combined in his account of Maguindano written in Spanish about the year 1667 says little or nothing of the princes of the island. Only that they were of the I mean, fake religion or false religion? False religion. Okay, false religion because okay, the Spaniards they also have a history of wars with the Moors for the longest time. In fact, they were before they were colonizing us, they were a colony of the Moors. So medyo may galit talaga yun sila inherent ng mga panahon na yan dun sa mga Moors. So ang tawag nila doon, false religion. Okay? Before the arrival of Sharif Ali, the first Mohammedan prince who came from Mecca to Maguindano. So now, in the NCCA, they just trace it from, the Middle East, but now it's really from Mecca. The latter had kings of her own. So who had kings of her own? Maguindano. So sinasabi nila there were already kings here. For the towns of Maguindano, Silangan, Katibtuan. Katibtuan siguro is Cotabato now? Or is there a place still called Katibtuan? And Simayan had assumed the right of taking from the banks of the Dano the portion of earth on which the foreigners were to be consecrated. Sovereigns! No, not foreigners. On which the sovereigns were to be consecrated. A ceremony already hinted in the geography of Maguindano. Oh. So the banks of the Dano, where is this Dano? Dano is this part of that map that we'll look at it later. No? So there is a portion of earth on which the sovereigns were to be consecrated. The ceremony already hinted in the geography of Maguindano. So remember last night we talked about this sovereignty also, and then we said that when a king died, the spirit goes back to the heavens, and the ceremony of giving that sovereignty back to his son or whoever replaces him is done in a religious manner. And it is also said here. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Right. So here it says here that ito tayo sa kabila muna. The
I-height
towns.
mo muna yung linya dyan sa baba. Nakita mo
Ito?
yan, yung puting linya na may blue. May height dyan. Tindusin mo yung height.
Yun, no?
Height.
Yan, okay. Yan. So the towns of Malampayan and Lusudan are said to have been the first to join Sharif Ali. Sino ba to si Sharif Ali? Na-mention ba to ng NCEA? O ito ba si Ali Abubakar? The other four soon acceded. So there are 8 towns being talked about here. I said there okay. No. There are 2 and then 4. So there are 6 towns. Sharif married a daughter of the last king of the royal line, and on his marriage founded his title to the crown. Okay, ano ito nakalagay sa baba? There's a plate daw. Okay, wait. Later. His son was Mahomet Kabansuan. Sharif Kabansuan? Tama ba? Whose son was Makalan, the father of Bangkiao. We've heard of this Bangkao, right? Maybe this is the guy, Bangkao, no? Bangkiao had 2 sons. Buwisan, surname Captain Laut, who succeeded him, and Salikola. Okay? About the time that Kabunsuan, son of Sharif Ali, reigned, a person named Budiman was Pangaran of Sulu. Pangaran, maybe a ruler, no? Sulu. Budiman had a grandson who became his successor. His name was Bunsu, and he was related to the family that governed at Borneo. Okay, now we see the connection to Borneo, which family also come from Mecca. And the head of it was his brother Sharif Ali. Was brother to Sharif Ali. Bunsu had 2 children, a daughter Poteli by a wife, and a son Bakyol by a sandal or concubine. Okay? Bakyol, okay, magkapatid to si Bakyol at saka si Poteli. Bakyol, the bastard, robbed his sister Poteli of her reign, threw off his dependence on Maguindano, and assumed the title of Sultan, his forefathers having been only Pangarans of Sulu. Oh, this is new. Okay? Because his forefathers were only Pangarans of Sulu, but this Bakyol assumed the name Sultan. Solikola married Bakyol's sister Poteli, a word which signifies princess or lawful daughter to a man of great quality, and had issue. Okay, so Pangaran, a title match used in Sumatra and inferior to Sultan or Raha. Okay, so Pangaran means a title used in Sumatra inferior to Sultan or Sara or Raha. Named Panianyambi, Paninyambi married Kudarat. Uy, si Sultan Kudarat na ito. Son to Buwisan, the Captain Laut already mentioned, who was her first cousin. Kudarat had issue Tidoli and Dolidi. Tidoli succeeded his father and had two sons, Abdurrahman and Kudi. Abdurrahman married Sembasin, the daughter of Mohalanding, an Ilanos princess son. Mohalanding had married Timbang Su Saribu, weigh 1,000, daughter of the king of Sangir. Where is this Sangir? Okay. Saan ba ito Sangir, sir? Do we know this place? Can we
Nasa Mindanao yan.
ha? Sa Mindanao dito Sangir? No?
Ano ba yan?
Sangir. Okay. Alright. Abdurrahman had several...
Indonesia.
Yun.
Part of northern chain of islands in the Sulawesi.
So, we will see also here that even in the NCCA account, that there are people here in Mindanao who are in close contact or actually related to the people in the Celebes. Celebes Sea. Yung pinag-usapan natin. So, Abdurrahman had several sons, said Mossad, succeeded him, but being an infant Kudi, his uncle, usurped the government and went to Semoy, carrying with him the effects of the deceased sultan. Thence, he invited the Zulus to support him against the lawful heir. The Zulus, using smaller prows or vessels than the Maguindano people, easily got into Semoy River. Where is Semoy? Is this part of the Philippines? Semoy?
Simoy River.
Oh,
Ilan, tuloy ka lang.
where the bar is smooth, though shallow. Finding Kudi there, with only a small force, they cut him off and plundered his camp. And as they were carrying away some pieces of cloth, they said scoffingly to his attendants, "Surely you won't grudge these to cover the body of your dead king." By this treacherous act, the Zulus possessed themselves of a great many pieces of heavy cannon, which Kudi had transported from Maguindano to Simoy. Where's the Simoy? Okay.
Hinahanap ko pa nga.
Okay, and look at the story. They talk about cannons. Okay, and even the Spaniards were surprised to see these cannons, which were actually far advanced when they went to Manila also. Okay, the Zulus, being returned home with their booty, said, Said Mufat's party got the ascendant, but the civil war had so distracted the state that he never had domestic peace. The Zulus, conscious of their inequity, lack of fairness, no? Okay, what happened to their inequity? And fearful of the resentment of the Maguindano, who should she have exerted her force against the small island, would again have brought it into subjugation or subjection, took pains to foment her disturbances. Okay, Sahabudin and Badarudin, brothers and sons of Bakyol and Batilian, So Habudin San then governed the councils of Sulu. So what is this story now bringing us to? Okay, yung mga away-away between the Magindanaos and then the Zulus, no? Uh, Makikita natin it starts with a very very simple power struggle. Nahanap mo na yung Semoy, sir? Ano yung Semoy? No? So, Anuel, a younger brother of Said Mufat, was supported by the Sulu party against him. And after many skirmishes, where both sides were much weakened, Said Mufat was assassinated by Mulenu, the son of Anuel. Hmm? Okay, so si Anuel, the younger brother of Said Mufat, was supported by the Zulus. Okay, and after many skirmishes where both sides were much weakened, Said Mufat was assassinated by Muleno. So si Said Mufat,
JP,
okay, the son of Anuel. Uy! Ayan, ito, NCCA director director ka ba sa
Mukha
NCCA dati, ma'am?
commissioner.
Ng NCCA. Oh, yun.
Dati.
Yun. ayan. So yan, nagbabasa lang kami dito kasi storytelling kami ngayon, bedtime stories from the 17th century. Ayun. So we are
Nice.
reading this account by a sailor, an English sailor. Ang maganda dito kasi it's written in English, it can be understood easily. And he was telling about the
Hindi ito
story,
Spanish document,
hindi
no?
Hispanic. Oo. And he wrote this in 1775, supposedly getting it from the brother of the king of Maguindano. Okay, and he said that there is an original written in Arabic, but in their tongue, in the Maguindano tongue, which was translated into Malay, and he now translated it into English. So in other words, this is pure Marites. Pure Marites. Okay. Okay, so ito, there are names that are hard to say, no, but like, tuloy na natin ng konti, mama, before you can comment because it talks of a slightly different account, no? So Fakim Molano. Oh, now this is now the source of the story. Si Fakim Molano, sabi niya, because he got this story from Fakim Molano, and his brother were obliged to leave Maguindano and to retire a few miles to the banks of Tamantaka. The country then suffered much. The great place of the town was first plundered and then burnt. In the conflagration, many of the houses of the Maguindano were destroyed. Also, great part of the towns of Silangan. The groves of coconut trees were also mostly destroyed as being convenient and at hand to make palisades for temporary forts. Wow. Okay. So after tedious desultory war, is there a word desultory war or desolate or what does desultory mean, no? Of several years continuance, Moleno being worst fled up the Pelangi to Boyan. Pakimulano got possession of all the lands about Maguindano, and peace was made soon after, about 30 years ago. Okay, so 30 years ago. Now, he is now talking about 1740. Moleno died a natural death, leaving by concubines two sons, Tupang Upu, also a natural daughter Myong. Pakimulano had about this time given up the sultan's ship to his younger brother Paharadin on condition that Haibad Zakarian, his own son, should be elected Prahamulu. Topang and Upu for some time after the peace, visited Fatimulano and his son, but afterwards the Paharidin's marriage with Myong, their sister, then grew shy, the Sultan. Okay. Now, where does this story go? It goes to another away between the two brothers. But look at the kinds of arrangements they made. Like this one, no? Si Fakim Molano, who is the older brother, agrees that his younger brother becomes the king. Okay? Now, so as early as those times, tayo mga Pilipino, or yung mga, ano natin, meron na silang concept of sharing of power. Yun. So the sharing of power is an old system. No? Yun. Nasaan na ba siya, Attorney Trixie? Wala ata, nasisira na naman ata yung kanilang internet connection. But anyway. Yun. So, took from his father's large possessions which made him formidable Rahamudu. Okay? He was also closely connected with the Zulus and had married Bulagudin's daughter Bantilan, once Sultan of Sulu. Okay? In that short story, okay, nakita natin yung part where the Sultan of Sulu, as they claim here, did it come from their family? From the Magindanaos? Because obviously, what the other historical accounts natin say is that Sharif Kabungswan and the Sultanate of Sulu, okay, Sharif Kabungswan uh, formed the Maguindanao kingdom separately, or hindi sila connected. Yung first Sultan of Sulu also just arrived from nowhere. But this one makes the connection between the two through the intermarriage. And then with the connection to Borneo. Okay? So, yun. Is there anything else interesting about this book? In fact, there is. No? Yung away nila later on. Kasi pati itong author na to pinalayas to siya sa lugar nila. No? Kasi nagkagulo-gulo. Alright? Now, for now siguro, maybe we can just start reflecting on those parts of this account, no?
Gusto mong may makita?
Okay.
It's a very long pala.
Ano siya, movie or what? Is it
It's a short
documentary?
clip. It's called the Filipino Family Tree, the Sultanates of Sulu.
Yun no. Sige nga. Play nga natin.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Sige lang. Papaano ko lang yung
Yeah, i-prepare mo I-prepare mo. Okay?
Yeah.
So look here, oh. Asan kaya yung sinasabi niyang mga lugar dito? You know, dito si Sugod Boyan. The Great Bay of Sugod Boyan. And here is the Maguindano. But at least now we got okay, look at these two lakes here. Right? So these two lakes actually become connected later, or itong mga lakes dito sa part ng Maguindanao is a very important place also for that people called Ilano. Okay, the Ilanos who were lost in history because of a volcanic eruption later on. So ibang kwento naman yun, no? They were also very powerful people. But this account showing, or alam mo yun, tells us that itong si Sultanate of Sulu here, no? Saan ba ito
Danan ko
nagsimula?
siya, nandito.
Okay, nandiyan ka na?
Compare
Sige,
lang natin.
play mo na natin. Ma-compare natin. Yan. Okay. Sige.
There should be sound. Or maybe
Thank you for tuning in to another episode
Meron.
of the Filipino Genealogy Channel. Today, we present an updated video about the Sultanate of Sulu, and discuss how the title of Sultan of Sulu is now a shared title among 5 men. In the previous video about Sulu's sultans, we traced the genealogy of the sultans of Sulu, down to the present, and speculated who among the claimants has the strongest claim to the throne today. Naturally, that was not an endorsement of any of the claimants to the throne, and was simply a fun way of looking at genealogy.
I think we should see the first one.
As we recall, the first video showed the direct lineal descent of the modern-day claimants to the throne of Sulu, unbroken from Sultan Shuraful Hashim Abubakar, Sulu's first sultan.
Shima Bubakar.
The tree then showed the modern-day descendants, into the various lines claiming the throne today. For years, the various branches of the Hashemite dynasty of Sulu have been quarreling over who is really the legal ruler of Sulu. Perhaps tired of all the infighting, and realizing that a united front would probably achieve more than a continued splintered group, the 5 different main branches of the family, the so-called 5 sultans of Sulu, decided to bury the hatchet, and all 5 sultans, on April 8, 2016, signed the Covenant of Unity, representing their commitment to the unification of the Sulu Sultanate. By joining forces, they became a unified body called the Royal Council of the Sulu Sultanate. Together, the Royal Council has made their stand perfectly clear on various issues that affected them, such as the issue on the ownership of Sabah. As late as September this year, the Royal Council, through its paramount sultan, Sultan Dr. Ibrahim Ba Jin Shakirullah II, declared that he was not abandoning his claim to Sabah, despite Malaysia's recent rejection of the claim. Today, let us take a look at the 5 members of the Royal Council and discover how they are related to one another. All 5 members of the Royal Council of the Sulu Sultanate are direct descendants of Sultan Sharifuddin, the 8 times great-grandson of the first Sultan, Sultan Shuraful Hashim Abubakar. As seen in this family tree, the 5 modern sultans of Sulu come from 3 distinct lines of descent from Sultan Sharifuddin. 2 sultans are descended from Sultan Aliuddin I, and are known today as the House of Bajin. 1 sultan is from Sultan Sakarullah I, and belongs to the House of Abi Rin. The remaining 2 sultans are from the House of Kiram, descending from the daughter of Sultan Sharifuddin, Da Yang Fatima Piandao. On the Bajin line, we can see that Sultans Ibrahim and Moizuddin are second cousins, their grandfathers, Datu Zain al-Aziz and Datu Zain al-Abidin, being brothers. Both datus were great-grandsons of Sultan Aliuddin I. Sultan Muhammad Benazar, of the House of Abi Rin, is the 5-time great-grandson of Sultan Sakarullah I. He is the 5th cousin, twice removed of the Bajin sultans. Meanwhile, House of Ki Ram Sultan Muidzul Lailtan Ki Ram is the 1st cousin once removed of Sultan Fugdalun Ki Ram II. The paramount sultan, Dr. Ibrahim Ba Jin Shakirullah II, is a cardiologist, who was born in Patikul Sulu, and is a member of the Royal House of Patikul. His branch of the family is the Bajin line. He was installed paramount sultan in 2004, and is the nominal head of the Royal Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo Kingdom. As paramount sultan, it means he heads all sultans of the royal houses under the Sultanate of Sulu. He is married to Razma Iqbala and they have 7 children. Next is Sultan Muizuddin Jainal Abi Rin Ba Jin. Sultan Muizuddin is the son of Datu Ajiddin Ba Jin and is considered the patriarch, or head, of the royal house of Patikul Sulu. From the House of Abi Rin is Sultan Muhammad Benazar Julkarnan Jainal Abi Rin. He is the son of Sultan Agimuddin Ba Jin Abi Rin. Finally, from the House of Ki Ram, Sultan Muidzul Lailtan Ki Ram. Sultan Muidzul Lailtan Ki Ram is the son of Sultan Mahkuda Ki Ram, the last sultan who was officially recognized by the Philippine government. He became head of his branch of the Ki Ram family on February 16, 1986. He is married, and has 7 children. The last in our 5 sultans is Sultan Fugdalun Ki Ram II. Sultan Fugdalun Ki Ram II is the brother of the controversial Sultan Jamal Ki Ram III, who was also one of the more famous pretenders of modern times. After Jamal Ki Ram's death, he was succeeded by his younger brother, Sultan Ismail Ki Ram II. Upon Ismail Ki Ram's death in 2015, another brother, Sultan Fugdalun Ki Ram II, succeeded the Ki Ram pretension to the throne. Ever since their Unity Covenant signing, the Royal Council has been able to take a unified stand in many issues and concerns that affect Sulu and the rest of Muslim men for today. We hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Please visit our channel.
Okay. Attorney Ahmed. So the name that we are looking for is Bakliol. Okay? Bakliol was identified here by Thomas Forrest. Okay, the author of this book is Forrest. Okay, this is the Forrest book. But the only other book that names Bakliol, or the only other legitimate source that names Bakliol is Blair and Robertson, The History of the Philippine Islands, 1483 to 1903. Okay, so if it is in Blair and Robertson, according to our historians, it must be true. But actually, Blair and Robertson is full of fake stuff. Okay? So now, magulo talaga kapag hindi natin ito malalaman ng completely, no, ang katotohanan dito. Una, okay, si Blair and Robertson is called fake by many current historians because una daw, itong si Blair at saka si Robertson, they spoke very basic Spanish. Okay? But the story about Bakliol comes from this book in the 17th century. So, how can we use this as part of the Saba claim? Okay, the Saba claim actually is also mentioned in this book. Pero hindi ko pa siya narating. Kaya sabi dito, how can we use this in the Saba claim? It's here. Pero ang nakikita ko lang na ano lang, ang aking ano dito, fearless forecast, I haven't reached that part yet, is that this guy will invalidate our Saba claim because he's British, and at the same time, around this period, while he was writing this, the British East India Company was already there. In fact, the owner of this book is the British East India Company. So this is published by the British East India Company. The one that leased the Sabah property. So it will have some accounts here which are contrary to the Spanish accounts. Kaloka. Yung nagsasalita na Amerikano. Mas magaling naman sa akin yun O, Attorney Ahmed, pag mga ganitong sitwasyon, yan, wala yan si Bakliol. There's also another old source, and Blair and Robertson carries this source. Pero imposibleng hindi to maintindihan ni Blair and Robertson because English to written originally in English. Can you say? Meron ba tong ano?
Gagawin natin? Well,
Hindi, wala tayong gagawin.
Anong gusto mong anong tinatanong mo? What do I suggest?
No, what can you say about these inconsistencies? No?
Di ba sinabi dito sa pinanood natin na merong pretender? Di ba may
so malamang
pretender
itong
nasa dulo,
mga linya
yung
nila?
Yun yung nasa dulo, yung pinakadulo sa right side.
Sila Kiram.
Yung isa lang, yung isa lang. Yung isang
isa sa mga Okay. Ang sa akin kasi dito, it's just this History cannot be etched in stone. Di ba? Kasi kung kapag sasabihin na lang natin na there's only one source, there's only one story of our history,
that's not history.
This one, that one, di ba? Blair and Robertson, they're all historical accounts. And I'm sure the other side that would say it was Sharif Kabungswan who was the first sultan. And this one will also say that it was Bakliol. Di ba? Only makes our history, di ba? Sabi dito, No, hindi si Sharif Kabungswan. No? So, about the time that Sharif Kabungswan, son of Sharif Ali, okay, Sharif, reigned a person named Budiman, Pangaran of Sulu. Okay? So, ito si Bakliol, the bastard, robbed his sister of her right. Di ba? Uh, and this part of our history is only going to make it interesting to study. Di ba? We don't have to take sides really. Right?
Yep. Right.
Di ba? Ang ano ko dito is this account written in the 1700s carried by Blair and Robertson in their primary history source natin yan ng Pilipinas, which is also being criticized as being kumbaga kung sa terminology ni Rappler, partly false. Okay? Partly false daw yan si Blair and Robertson, or misleading. Di ba? Misleading, partly false. Ano pa yung mga terminologies nila? Missing a context. Missing a context. And weaponized. Like this one is a weaponized thing because, di ba? Hindi natin pwedeng isara yung usapin ng history. I don't think, ito pa lang Di ba? Kikita mo na. And there are,
I think that ang theory on history is that history is never settled. It's never final because history is being written by the current people that exist today. Ilan tayo? So if we wrote, each one of us alive today wrote what we know of what's going on today, that's like billions of stories. And how can you ever settle billions of stories about the same thing? That sun comes from the east, for example, and the Alaskans, the people who live in Alaska, are to make an account of that, it would be entirely different from what I would make looking at the sun rising from the east. And that's history, and that's already two histories. So how can you settle history? Diba? It's an anathema to the idea of history that it can ever be settled.
Yun nga yung isang thrust dyan sa mga European historians right now is they are funding more and more research into newer ways of looking at the old historical accounts, diba? To understand history in a different manner. Kasi kumbaga before, like this one, did you notice how it was written? It was written based on names, diba? Puro lineage. Puro tao. Diba? Yun yung sinasabi mo, great people, a history of great men. Walang women. Ito yung
isang libro sa Biblia na tinatawag na Numbers is exactly like this.
Yep.
It's the genealogy from Abraham to Jesus Christ.
Diba? And this type of writing of history changed in the 1800s. Now they looked at not only names but powers, no? The great powers that be. This one is also concentrated on powers, no? But although it talks about ito, tingnan mo how they acquired, di ba? How they killed the king, and then, di ba? Zulus possessed themselves for great many pieces, di ba? Killing a king. Yun yung European way of anong tawag nito? Accession to a throne, di ba? When you kill a king and then you are also of royal blood, di ba? You can get that dead king's kingdom. So iba yung panahon na yan. They don't look at the people, they don't look at the circumstances, they don't look at the economic situations that are, kumbaga, pushing all of these forces to interact with each other. So this is a kind of truth that was written only by this guy, and it's truth for him. And it is different from the other truths. Maybe there are other sources also, yung sinasabi nilang written account naman ng mga taga-Sulu. No, yung kanilang, what do they call it? Nandyan pa ba si Trixie? O nainis na sa ating internet connection. O yan. Sa Sulu kasi meron yan silang parang book of lineage. Yun. May book of lineage yung, yung Sulu. Na ano bang tawag nila sa account na yun? No? Basta meron yan yung mga tausug niyan. And that is where they get that yung pinalabas mo. Yun yung natitrace nila doon, not this one. But this one comes from the Maguindanao side. And they also claim that they are related. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. So even in Genesis, meron din.
Diba merong minention kanina na sa pinanood natin that there is a first part to that?
Can you find it? Can you find it?
Nandito.
Controversy?
Hinahanda ko na.
Yan.
Pinapalampas ko lang yung ads.
Okay. So this is actually still relevant up to now. Why? Because the Sultanate of Sulu is still valid.
Are you ready? Ready na?
Yeah, play.
Nanig na tayo?
Yep.
Welcome to another episode of the Filipino Genealogy Channel. Today we're going to explore a very interesting family tree, and that is the family tree of the Royal Hashemite House of Sulu. We will also be playing a game, a genealogical game called Who is the Rightful Sultan of Sulu Today? As there are several claimants to the throne of Sulu, we will trace the different lines that now claim to be Sultan, and using historical precedents as well as the succession laws that govern Islamic thrones, we will postulate who is likely the rightful Sultan. As a disclaimer, this exercise is simply for genealogical purposes and is in no way an endorsement of any of the claims of the sultans. The Sultanate of Sulu today is just one of the provinces in the Philippines. However, at the height of its power, the Sultanate's domain reached portions of Luzon, Mindanao, and even North Borneo, which today, although part of Malaysia, remains a disputed territory between the Philippines and Malaysia. The Sultanate of Sulu remained independent even during the Spanish colonial rule and was only forcibly integrated into the Philippines during the American colonization. But even after losing its sovereignty, the Sultanate of Sulu retained its centuries-long monarchy, and over the years, sultans continued to reign but no longer rule. The family tree of the Sultanate of Sulu begins with Sultan Shariful Hashim Abu Bakr. Now, Sultan Hashim was not from Sulu. Born in Johor, his family claimed descent from the Hashemite dynasty. Now, the Hashemite dynasty was one dynasty that claimed descent from the Prophet Muhammad. So any royal family in the Middle East or in any of the Islamic nations that claim descent from the Prophet Muhammad would be called members of the Hashemite dynasty. Sultan Shariful Hashim Abu Bakr, who reigned from 1450 to 1480, had married Dayang Paramisuli or Princess Paramisuli. Princess Paramisuli was the daughter of Raja Baginda of Sulu. Now, Raja Baginda the same as Sultan Shariful, was also not from Sulu, but later on, after arriving from Sumatra, Indonesia, he established his presence in Sulu, married a local princess, and was made the ruler of Sulu. But the first Sultan of Sulu was his son in law, Shariful Hashim Abu Bakar. Sultan Shariful was followed by his son, Sultan Kamal Uddin, who reigned from 1480 to 1505. His son, Amirul Umara, succeeded him. Now, at this point, it is important to point out that during the reign of Amirul Umara, Princess or Putri Leila Menshanai married the Sultan of Sulu. And this time it was Sultan Bolkiah, the founder
So
of the
Brunei.
Bolkiah royal dynasty. Now, Leila Menshanai is sometimes said to be the daughter of Sultan Amirul. Some sources also say that she was a sister of Sultan Amirul. But we will be using the record that describes her as a sister and not a daughter of Sultan Amirul Umara. The descendants of Putri Leila Menshanai and Sultan Bolkiah of Brunei continued to reign in Brunei. And they also have several descendants today that are in the Philippines by virtue of their being grandparents of the Lacandulas of Tondo and Manila. But that would be a later discussion. Sultan Amirul Umara was succeeded by his son, Sultan Muizul Mutawadin Upo. He was succeeded by his son, Sultan Nasifuddin Awal Dirugan, who was succeeded by his son, Sultan Pangiran Budiman, succeeded by his son, Sultan Batarasa Shataga, who was succeeded by his son, Sultan Muwalil Wasit Raja Bungsu, succeeded by his son, Sultan Nasiruddin Ahir. In turn, succeeded by Sultan Salahuddin Kalamat, or also known as Sultan Baktir, who reigned from 1648 to 1666. Now, this is where the start of a political struggle in the throne of Sulu started. Upon the death of Sultan Salahuddin Kalamat, his son, Sultan Sahabuddin, succeeded. Upon the death of Sultan Sahabuddin, another son, Safiuddin, succeeded to the throne, who in turn was succeeded by another son of Sultan Kalamat, Sultan Bararuddin Awal, who reigned from 1690 to 1735. As we saw earlier, Sultan Kalamat was succeeded by three of his sons, Sahabuddin, Safiuddin, and Bararuddin. Now, during this time, the son of Sultan Bararuddin Awal was also already a sultan earlier, because when Sultan Bararuddin became old, his son started to take over from him. Upon the death of Sultan Nasaruddin in 1735, his brother, Sultan Alimuddin I, became his successor. Sultan Alimuddin I was succeeded by his first cousin, Sultan Bantilan I, who was the son of Sultan Sahabuddin. Hey, wrong. However, this particular reign is not considered as a rightful reign, because Sultan Alimuddin was succeeded upon his death. Sultan Israel I, who died in 1778, was succeeded, and this time, rightfully, by the son of Sultan Bantilan I, Sultan Alimuddin II, who died in 1789. Upon his death, a brother of Sultan Israel I, Sharifuddin I, succeeded to the throne. And when Sultan Sharifuddin I died, his nephew, a son of Sultan Israel I, succeeded to the throne. Upon his death, he was succeeded by his first cousin, the son of Sultan Sharifuddin I, who was Sultan Aliuddin I, who ruled for just over 2 years until he was succeeded by another brother, Sultan Sakiraula, who ruled for some quite time from 1808 to 1823. Now, this is where the troubles in the succession of the Sultanate of Sulu started. Before he died, Sultan Sakiraula wanted his nephew, Dato Israel Maulana, to succeed him to the throne as requested by his sister Dayang-Dayang Fatima Piandao. However, this was not recognized, and upon the death of Sultan Sakiraula, there were several claimants to the throne. Four, in fact. We had Sultan Tumanggung Bantilan Alimuddin IV, who came from Sultan Israel I, the grandson. We also had Sultan Aliuddin II, who was the son of the older brother of Sultan Sakiraula, Sultan Aliuddin I. We had Sultan Israel the second rather, who was a son of Sultan Sakiraula. And the other one who claimed the throne was Jamalul Kiram I, who was the son of Dato Israel Maulana, who, as we earlier said, would have succeeded Sultan Sakaraula had he been accepted by the people of Sulu as Sultan. And in fact, he had the regnal name already of Alimuddin III, which was never legal. While there was infighting, Sultan Jamalul Kiram I consolidated his power until he became the recognized Sultan of Sulu. And even though some of the other sultans outlived him, Sultan Jamalul Kiram succeeded in passing on the throne to his son, Sultan Pulalun. However, there was a decree made supposedly by Sultan Jamalul Kiram I that upon the death of his son, Sultan Pulalun, the throne should pass to the rightful descendant of Sultan Sakiraula, who is Sultan Aliuddin III, the grandson of Sultan Sakiraula. However, when Sultan Pulalun died, the son of Jamalul Kiram I, Sultan Pulalun passed on the throne supposedly to Datu Aranan. Now, Datu Aranan was the grandson of Sultan Alimuddin II, from the earlier generations of our family tree.
Med.
However, Datu Aranan was already quite old when the throne was
Pause.
offered to him by Sultan
Pause mo muna, pause. Mas malaki ba yung screen mo?
Natulog na yata ako eh.
Can you see the name Sahabuddin and Badaruddin in the top of that triangle?
Yeah, yung
Dun sa
tatlong
mga
yan,
top.
1, 2, 3. Yan yung sa
Sahabuddin.
taas, top 3. Nakikita mo yan, 1.
Hindi
Ito,
nga,
may
masyado
mouse
maliliit
ako.
eh. Yeah. It's too small sa akin.
Ayan o. 1. Ah,
Wait ha,
okay.
let me
That's
make it large.
that is ito
Sahabudin and
Oh,
Sahabudin
ito sa
and
gitna.
Badarudin.
Oh, meron ding itong nasa gitna, ito Safiyuddin. Safiyuddin.
Okay.
Yung
Di,
pangatlo, Bararudin. Bararudin.
Bararudin. Okay. Because they
Oh,
are mentioned here as the son and brother of Bakliol. So sino yung nasa
itong
ibabaw
silang
niyan?
tatlo,
Oh, no, okay, nakalagay dito
si
ha.
Baktir, si
Okay,
Kalamat,
nakalagay dito.
tatay nila.
Okay, ang nakasulat dito ha, Sahabudin and Badarudin, brothers and sons of Bakliol, and Bantilan. Bantilan. You see Bantilan there? Sahabudin son.
Yes.
Ha?
Nandito si
Andyan ba si Bantilan?
Nandito.
Okay,
Ito.
so si Bantilan is Sahabudin son. Okay?
Mm.
Pero ang sabi dito, Sahabudin and Badarudin, brothers and sons of Bakliol and Bantilan. Sahabudin son, then governed the councils of Sulu.
Silang tatlo.
Okay, no, okay nga. So si Bakliol, actually the first one, siya kaya yung nasa pinakaibabaw niyan? Si ano? Sino bang pangalan nila
Si
dyan?
Baktir. Si
So, baka si
Sultan Salahuddin Kalamat Baktir.
So,
Baka yan yung
si...
Bakliol.
Ayun. So it connects.
Yeah.
But hindi ito yung linyada ni sino yung sinasabi nilang ano, yung galing sa Mecca?
Yung nauna dito,
Si-
si Sharif
Hindi si Kamungsuan, si who is
nandito. Ayan si Sultan Shariful Hashim Abu Bakar.
Oh, so where how do they relate to Abu Bakar now? Itong family tree mo kanina.
Mga anak kasi yan silang tatlo ni Kalamat. Sultan Salahuddin Kalamat na anak naman din ng
Yung
ng-
last na triangle na tiningnan natin, how does it relate to that tree?
itong
Saan
tatlo
dyan si
dito sa
Baktir?
baba.
Oh,
ito dito sa baba. Okay? Itong tatlo, ito yung tatlo doon sa taas kanina. Yung isang
So,
nag-isa
ito
doon
si
sa taas kanina,
Baktir.
ito yon. Ito si
Correct.
Baktir. Ito,
ayun.
tatay nilang tatlo.
So ang sinasabi kasi dito sa libro natin, before Baktir, all of his predecessors were just
One. Isa
no,
lang.
yung pang hindi, tsaka hindi sila sultan. They were using the name Panggaran.
Siya.
Pangga lang. Pangga, hi Pangga. Oh. Hindi sila sultan.
Ha?
Hindi sila sultan before. Panggaran, the title must choose in Sumatra and inferior to sultan or raha. So before Baktir daw,
Okay,
before
Raha.
Baktir,
Raha sila.
before Baktir they were not sultans. So ito pala si
Si
Baktir
Baktir,
talaga yung
naging
nag-elevate,
sultan
in-elevate niya yung pamilya nila. Okay, so now it actually coincides pala. Bango naman nung ano?
Okay.
Bango naman nung pansit dun. Yun. So, okay. So, yun. Now, they are related pala
Yun nga.
they are related to the Magindanaos.
Sultan Shariful Hashim Abu Bakar.
In this account. No, they are, nandyan din ba si Abu Bakar? Si Sharif Kabungsuan? Wala, no?
Oo.
They do not trace each other to Sharif Kabungsuan.
Sharif Kabungsuan.
Where is he?
Si Sharif
Yeah,
Kabungsuan
okay,
yata itong tatay yata ni Dayang-Dayang Paramisuli, yung asawa naman ni Sultan Shariful Hashim Abu Bakar.
Oh. All right. Silangan Katigtuan Simayanan. Okay. So si Sarif Ali Combes in his account in Magandana, written in Spanish 1667, says dito. Sarif Ali. So Sarif Ali. Sinong pinakauna dyan? Sino First
Si
one.
Hashim Shariful Hashim Abubakar. Yan yung Hashimite galing galing Mecca. Wala na.
Mm. Okay, but okay.
Wala na.
Now we see a connection, no?
Hindi
Na,
ko na to.
at least makatulog tayo diyan kapag tuloy pa natin yung family tree hanggang kay Noynoy Aquino. Di ba kasali sila diyan? Kasali ba mga
Jolog
Aquino
naman.
diyan?
Hindi, Jolog siya.
Ayun. So, now, we have been focusing dun sa Sulu na side. This book pala connects it to the Maguindanaos, and the people that are named here are actually in that lineage that we are also looking at.
One
no?
side. One side.
On one side of that
Kasi
lineage.
ito yung ang trinitrace dito ay yung paternity. Dito kasi sa Sharif Kabunguan is the mother of all of these people.
Okay.
The great matriarch. Great matriarch.
Ayun, yan.
Babae
So,
kasi yun siya. Yung Maguindanao is a woman.
tingin ako na.
Maguindanao in this line is a woman.
Andun kinapay. Yun, no?
Okay?
Sarap. Ang sarap ng meron kang anak na nagluluto ng ng maling sa gabi.
Maling.
Okay. Maling. at
Maliit
saka-
lang pero maling naman.
Maliit lang at saka maling. Ayun. So, the second son has
Ala.
two descendants. Sino
Wala
yung
na
walang
akong
descendants? Sino yung walang descendants daw? Dun sa mga, okay. Ayun. Makakatulog pala tayo nito na mahimbing kasi hindi naman sila nag-aaway pala. No?
Hindi
The stories do not contradict, but actually they connect. But the connection that is not in our known history is how they connect to each other, because there are major kingdoms in Mindanao. You have there the Maguindanao, which is what we are talking about here, the Sulu, and then the Maranao, no, in the north. They come later on. And the Maranao is also another beautiful kingdom based in Lake Lanao. Na ang description niyan before it was a fortress daw talaga na hindi yan mapasok-pasok yung kingdom nila around that lake. So magandang pag-usapan natin yan because the kingdoms in Mindanao were more advanced than those that were easily kumbaga anong tawag dito? Hindi naman siguro assimilated na lang, magandang term, no? Assimilated into the Spanish system of governance. What would probably distinguish itong I would surmise, no, would be the advancement of the legal systems that were in place when the Spaniards came. Noting that itong ating mga Mindanao kingdoms were based on the Islamic religion, and their leaders came from no less than Mecca, di ba? Just like the Spanish Catholic-based rule, etong sa kanila was another aspect na based naman ito on the Islamic hindi naman Islamic state, no? Or that is not the right term in the ancient times to call it an Islamic state. Ha?
Well, yan sila, sovereignty. So, there is no concept of state as in a state that has a government over a territory, ganyan-ganyan. It was a kingdom. Kingdom talaga. Kaya nga hindi tribes ang tawag yan, kingdoms talaga eh.
Yeah.
Kasi
they're
sa
kingdoms.
Pilipinas, those are really kingdoms, not tribes.
Yep. And this
Kahit
this,
iba yan,
this
Maguindanao, iba kultura niyan, yung Tausug, iba yung kultura niyan. Tausug kasi yung Sulu Sultanate of Sulu is the Tausug.
And ito lang, itong statement na to, coming from an Englishman, and sailor and ano, di ba? To recognize these words. Sovereigns were to be consecrated. That is how they made their kings also. Eh. So the amount of respect the Europeans gave, and this will actually explain why the Spaniards didn't really exert that much effort into subjugating the entirety of Mindanao. In fact, the early part na ginam ko dito talks about Zamboanga. Okay? It talks about the okay. Puro kasi itong mga ano mga charts, mga ano sa barko kasi this was this was mostly about this is not a history book. This is actually a cartographic description of the islands that he was So, he talks about Dapitan, which is Dapitan City now. No? Okay. So Rahamudo has taken from the Spaniards in some late wars certain places to the northward of Zamboanga called Sipuki, Sedoway, or Siyuki, or is it Zamboanga Sibugay now? Diba? These
Siguro.
places remain in his possession and are said to produce much. What is cassia?
Kafiya.
Kaffia? Coffee?
Kasiya.
What kind of material is that? No. So a little way beyond Zamboanga is a smaller harbor called the Caldera. Okay, east of Dapitan is the point of Batusungkil, and farther on about the 10 leagues lies Misamis, which is where Misamis Occidental or places, di ba? Yung Cagayan de Oro, it's there. At the entrance of the Bay of Sidum or Pangil, okay, Pangil Bay, this is where Digong made that bridge that will cross to Kulambugan City na pinak-check ng Mindanao News na hindi daw yun kasama sa
Itong
PPPP.
kasiya is cinnamon. Kasiya is cinnamon.
Which is very, very profitable agricultural product at the time, no?
Spice. It's a spice.
So ito yung sa Misamis. Okay, it says here, no? When you enter the Bay of Sidum or Pangil, ang Pangil Bay, yan yung pinapatayuan ni Digong ng bridge na sabi ng mga Mindanao News, fake news daw yung DPWH dahil hindi nilagay doon na ang nag-approve ng programa ay si Pinoy. The bay is of great depth in a particular direction, right inland from the north coast of Maguindano. Many small rivers discharge themselves into it, and in those creeks, the Ilano cruisers conceals themselves from the Spanish Guardia Costas or coastal guards. Okay, now it talks about this Ilano. This Ilano is also a very curious people in Mindanao. It is said that before the rise of the Maguindanos, the Ilanos were the ones who ruled Maguindana, the whole Mindanao. Ito yung kinukwento ko sa inyo na there are 3 volcanoes dyan sa may area ng Sarangani na sinasabi na pumutok daw yun ng napakalakas which killed these people or destroyed these people's livelihoods and houses, and they were dispersed, but there is not much record about that volcanic eruption except by one sea captain who saw it from the deck of his ship, and he was the only one who wrote about that. And there was a study which was done by volcanologists in our age to investigate whether that really happened. Okay, now, so these Ilanos, they will later figure into our history as after that incident now, they transformed themselves into seafarers. And as seafarers, they were the ones who were masters at enslaving the Dutch and selling their beautiful children to the Muslim hierarchy, and that's why we have very beautiful Muslims in Congress, di ba? Attorney Ahmed, yung mga nakita natin mga congresswoman doon, ng mga magaganda. They're descendants of the Dutch. Okay. So a little beyond the east part of the coast that makes the entrance into this deep Bay of Sidum is is the town of Iligan. Oh, kinaroys to. Which contains about 150 houses. Napakalit pala ng Iligan. Okay, the river in which Iligan stands comes from the Great Lano or the Lake Lanao, no? In the Ilano country. Oh, kaya pala Lake Lano or Lake Lanao kasi sa kanila pala yan, hindi pala kay Alid de Maporo yan. Marawi itong pinagsasabi nito. He's now talking about the area of Marawi, which is where we saw the Maote insurrection. Now, if this is consistent with what is in the historical account in that volcanologist version, ang sabi is after the explosion of that or the explosion man tawag sa eruption of that volcano, they moved upwards towards Lake Lanao nga daw. And now by 1775, they must have settled there because this eruption supposedly happened in 1560. Okay? So this is about 200 years later. So now, he says that it is actually coming from the word Ilano, Lake Lanao. Yun. So beyond Iligan is Cagayan, where is said to be a very good harbor, and that of Iligan being not so recommended. If you've been to, sinong na-frozen? Frozen na ba kami? Are we cut? Okay, so Marawi is there, no? So, if you've been to Iligan, okay, Iligan tama. Okay, Iligan is not a very good harbor because it is very deep. Kantilado yung lupa dyan eh. But it is very good for kaya kung napunta ka na sa Iligan, di ba? Across the cement factories, there are harbors for yung mga ocean-going vessels. Yan. Si diretsong lalim yan dyan. So Cagayan Fort is of stone towards land. So there's a fort in Cagayan by the Spaniards. So within it are reckoned above 100 houses. Grabe, ganun lang ang Cagayan noon. At Cagayan is also a considerable river. Itong Bulwa River, no? Which is a very nice river for river rafting. The country is said to produce gold. Oh! Ito hindi ko alam. Okay? Di ba ang gold nandun sa kabilang side? Okay. And the Bisayans on the coast, Bisaya, who are Christians, live on a friendly footing with the Mohammedan mountaineers, as well as the Haraforas. So the seafarers and then the mountain Mohammedans, ito siguro yung mga taga Marawi. Almost due north of Cagayan is the island of Camiguin. Okay, if you've been to Camiguin, there is a church there which has sunk. There is much trade for wax, gold, cocoa, and kafia. Ooh! Gold again in Camiguin. Next is Buluan, which is a good harbor and a
Kasya
river.
is ano? Kasya is
Kasia is the
Kasya
cinnamon,
is
sabi
ano?
mo.
Yung sinabi natin.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
Cinnamon.
Banacas Point, a little way beyond it lies Surigao. Okay, Surigao, and this is the island of Mindanao's northeast point, which is true, no? Northeast point. With a good one. Ano bang maganda daw siya, ano? Yun. A good road in either monsoon. Pag sinabi niyo good road, usually, ano yan? It's in the tubig na road or the water, anong tawag nila dyan? Ahmed, yung tinatakbuhan ng mga hangin? Trade winds, no? Here, a fort and a town, also a river from a lake. And the offing, where the passage is narrow between the Philippines and Mindanao. Diba? Hinihiwalay niya yung tawag ng Philippines and Mindanao. The tides are said to run strong. Okay? Next lies Katil, which is the Tandag. Tandag, it's there, no? Lugar niyo na to, malapit, no?
Surigao. East
Okay,
Coast.
so,
That's
which also has a fort again, no? Pag sinabi fort, it was a Spanish fort, but it was taken and burnt by the people of Maguindano. Not 20 years ago. Many Spaniards and Visayas perished in the flames.
Hello?
They
Hello?
would not accept of quarter. Yun. Did we hear about this?
Sandali. Yun ay nakita ko.
Yeah.
Saglit, ihahatid ko lang tong classes niya doon ni Trixie.
Okay. Both Tandag and Katil have bad roads in the northeast monsoon and because they lie on the windward on the island of at the seaside. Here ends the Spanish jurisdiction. Ooh, and begins the great district of Calagan, which is under Maguindano, and of which further mention will be made. Oh, so now, wag mo tong i-delete. Why? I-replay ko yung part na di ko na... Sure. So now, we see that Mindanao pala, merong hatian ng powers dito in the 1700s. Here ends the Spanish jurisdiction and begins the great district of Calagan. Calagan, never heard of this. Or is anybody from Mindanao here and can verify if there is a place in our na Calagan? This I learned from Mr. Grior, Royal Captain. Okay. So yun. And pag umikot ka dito sa South, now this is what he's talking about as the Mindanao area. Wow! We're not deleting anything yet, Luna. So don't worry because if there will be someone who will delete this, it will be not us. Not us, but them. Ayun. So, ang ganda pala nitong kwento ng Mindanao. In fact, I grew up there. To si Attorney Ahmed grew up there. We do not know much of our own history. And it is very, very interesting to be reading these things. Especially seeing these descriptions about our place. Before this part, he also talks about okay. Okay, it starts here, no? When he gets near the area of Mindanao, okay, he describes this area here and here's Sarangani, okay, Batulaki Harbor, and there are many illustrations here. So maybe one session we will just collect yung mga drawings kasi maraming ang gaganda ng description ng mga lugar dito. But most of these pages kasi 600 pages of them are mga descriptions ng mga area sa dagat, mga lalim, gaano kalayo sa sea, yung bato dito, things that wouldn't concern us. So Davao Occidental man siguro ng Calagan. Oh, really? So the Calagan area, oh, thank you. No? Hindi po kami nag-delete nga yung last live, but it was aired late in our pages. Yan. Okay, so okay, sabi dito I will just make this bigger. There. What is this place called the Koto Intang, which borders on the Melampi? Live a few Chinese, but many Maguindano mechanics, vessel builders, and merchants. They build their vessels of various dimensions and employ them in trading from one part of the coast to the other, often cruising among the Visayan, Philippine Islands for slaves and plunder. Oh my God. Slaves and plunder. So, is there slavery in the Philippines? Obviously there is, according to this book. They could also as far as the coast of Java and the inlands of Celebes and Borneo, seizing whatever prowess they can master. These vessels were very long for the breadth and I think he's talking here about group of Ilanos. So, anyway, Mindanao is a very interesting place, and Calagan, okay, Kagan is the my tribes of Davao, from the Mandayas of Davao Oriental, Manobo, Davao del Norte, and Sampagobos. Calagan are Muslim tribes in Mindanao. So, as much as this book will tell us, in the year 1775, no, yung lugar na yan was not even part yet of Spanish control. Ang jurisdiction na sinasabi niya ends in what place again? Tandag. No? It's in Tandag and Katil. Because they lie on the windward part of the island at that season. So here ends the Spanish jurisdiction. Very interesting. And just tonight, I learned that the name Mindanao comes from Maguindano. So sana, nang-enjoy kayo. Attorney Ahmed, nakabalik ka na ba o hindi pa? Naglakad pala si Attorney Ahmed. Hintayin na natin saglit. No? So, look at how this describes also the situation, okay, among Spaniards and Visayas. So, how do I take this? Parang in history, we only say that it was the Spaniards who were cruel. But here, there's also this incident here which we do not really get to know much about, but it says 20 years ago, so maybe in 1750, that there was a place called Katil, and it has a fort, and then Tandag, which has a fort, and it was taken and burnt by the people of Maguindano, not 20 years ago. So maybe 1750 something. Many Spaniards and Visayans perished in the flames as they would not accept quarter. So anong nangyari dun sa patayan na yan? So that is how they do stuff before, massacre. And in that part also, when he was talking about the Zulus taking power from the Maguindanos who ruled over them, they also say that they killed the Maguindano king. That was the world of our ancestors. Hindi natin yan pwedeng husgahan based on our sense of morality now. In fact, kung titingnan nga natin, parang loko lang tayo dyan sa mga sinasabi nila mga restrictions kung anong pwedeng gawin ng isang country sa iba, ganun. No, it was really free for all. It has been free for all for the longest time. No? And these things that are happening with Zelensky, for example, no? Why can't the West? Why can't anyone sanction Russia in the same way that they sanctioned Saddam Hussein before? So namimili din ng kalaban. No? Namimili ng kalaban. Namimili ng, okay, itong mga liping sa gigilid, is it a Mindanao thing? I'm not so sure. Parang ano to sa north to And the concept of slavery in Mindanao is actually different. Meron akong nakita dito. Hindi natin ito nabasa kanina, and it might be of interest. Here. It's talking about eating chocolates as a part of their tradition. Teka. Where is that thing about chocolates? Here. Ito kasi medyo ano na to. He was talking about him visiting that son who was promised to become the king. Okay, si Rahamudu. I had a prospect of staying among them many months until the monsoon should shift for my return to Borneo. Whether I had English, whether I heard the English had retired after quitting Balambagan. For had I pretended to encounter the monsoon, I should in all probability have been obliged to put into Sulu. What happened here? Okay. Various was therefore my ground of circumspection, particularly when I understood the jealousies and heart burnings among them. So there was may patayan pa lang nangyari dito before that. Okay, but anyway, let's talk about the chocolate. Rahamudu, to whom I luckily attached myself at first, lodged me very well in his own fort and pulled up my vessel on the dry land. He, on all occasions, showed me civility and gave me assistances besides his court, if I may call it, was crowded in comparison to the sultans, which demonstrated to me his superior power. Okay, ito si Rahamudu, no? Ang nakalagay dito. Every person entitled to sit down is treated with chocolate. But Kanakans or vassals, messengers, and others lean on their knees while they deliver what they have to say and then retire. Yun yung social structure nun. Pag okay ka, may tsokolate ka. Okay, si Zelensky comment, okay? I think it's because of American hegemony. No, they're afraid. Actually, they're afraid of. They can easily go invade and impose whatever they will on a person like Saddam Hussein, but not on Putin. Ganun lang yun. And okay, so nagkaroon pala ng labanan dito. And he resigned the sultanship to his brother, held the sinews of power para Hadid's own lands not being so considerate. Okay, so nag-away-away pala sila. Anyway, so imagine mo to. So now we hear of slavery. We see this kind of relationship, no? As a sign of respect, messengers and others lean on their knees, nakaluhod, while they deliver what they have to say. So these kings were not ordinary kings. No? Wow. So hindi natin pwedeng sabihin lang na, Mindanao, wala namang kwenta yung mga tao dyan, walang ano. No, Mindanao walang pinakamabagsik sa lahat. Okay. So yun, Tandag City is the capital of Surigao del Sur, while Katil is the Davao Oriental. So ang layo pala ng Tandag at saka Katil, 240 kilometers south. So until that Katil, Davao Oriental, it's still north of Davao City, no? Kasi mahaba kasi yung coast na yan in the eastern, right? North, south, west, eastern coast, northeast of Mindanao. And Davao, as we know, was not yet very populated at the time. Hindi pa to sila masyadong developed. I read that in another account on those volcanoes about the Ilanos naman. Kasi at that time daw yung nakatira sa Davao were mostly mga seafaring traders. So hindi sila yung settled na mga tribes. Yung Davao City that we know now. So ayun. Sa totoo din pala yung mga chocolates I drink of the gods. Not only that. At this time meron palang tsokolate na tradition, because the chocolate tradition is said to have been brought out of the South Americas by the Spaniards, tama? In the 14th century. So how it came around and be part of the tradition in our indigenous kingdoms. It's quite questionable, no? Kasi if it was in the late 1400s na natutunan nila yung chocolatel, cocoatel in the Mayan tribes, the drink of the gods, and then nadala nila yung tradition yan sa Spain. Para madala yan ng Spain dito, hindi naman sila nakapasok sa mga lugar na yan and become part of this culture That's amazing. Paano siya umikot? Share ko lang. Yes, go. A local investor wanted to produce a movie entitled Mactan 1521. The funding is unlimited to a point that our research phase made the 7-day exclusive entry to Madrid archives. Wow! You were able to go there? Oh my god. Who is authorized to hold handle old books and documents? Our team found tons of historical inaccuracy from what was written. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. I'm different, and I really hands up. So you've been to that 5 kilometer long, uh, according to the library of ano to hindi siya British, I think it was the Belgian librarian who describes it as a 5 kilometer long account of all colonial documents in Spain from yung 1525 na tinayo, which is the Royal something or the Madrid Villa or whatever. So you've been there. Oh my God. Ano nakuha mo dun? Hingi. What I mean to say is that Americans have maneuvered events leading to Russia. Ukraine. Bakit ayaw mong i-spell ang Ukraine? Ano din ba to? Binablock ba? Pag sinulat mo yung Ukraine? Or ano? Kasi yung iba, di ba? Kailangan natin, hindi natin isulat ng buo dahil magkakaroon ka ng flag kapag binanggit mo. Pinaflag na ba din ba si Ukraine? Hindi na, I know Judicat knows how to spell Ukraine and Russia, di ba? But, oh really? Magkakaroon ka ng problema when you write their name? Holy cow, bakit? Ano ba yan? Algorithm nito mga to. Di ba? Ang kulit. Pero ito, hands down, I wanna go there. Sino kaya magpipinansyahan pumunta dyan, no? So what did you find out in this Mactan 1521? So you saw the Pigafetta files, and you must have seen the ship logs or whatever. Meron pa bang notes aside from the Pigafetta files? Because I'm sure meron pang ibang notes yun. They would have kept yung ship's log. Tama? Ito si Andy Fern, may tinatago to eh. Haha, may nakabukas ulit. May warning na po bukas ulit. I don't think so. But they will just slow down the circulation. Kahit sa YouTube. Really? Let's see what happened when I posted a thing with Zelensky. Oo nga. 8,000 circulation. Oh my God. You know why this is so disappointing? Ayan o. Bata ka pa, 13,000. Itong sinabi ko dito, disturbing the peace. Oh, I wasn't wrong. Nakita niyo ba itong pinost ko na pagkain nyo nakalagay? Nakalagay dito, disturbing the peace. Talking about algorithm. Yung sinabi ko, the world is home to beautiful sunshines and butterflies. It is also the breeding ground of vermins and tikbalang. You may wish all you want the disappearance of bullies. The fact is nobody may ever tell whether your own children may either grow to be predators or prey. And yet there are others who are privileged to be born with a sense of right to lord it over every one of us. That one paragraph I know, or I calculated will be flagged in their algorithm. Why will it be flagged? Did I say anything wrong there? No. I'm just testing their algorithm with this one. no, to be born because it talks about elitism. And when you start talking about elitism, it will be flagged. And true enough, ha, sabi ko nga para dito, you can share this 10,000, 1,000, 50 times, 100 times, 10,000, 1,000 times. The reach will never go beyond 25,000, not even 20,000. Maybe on the 15,000. I was so wrong. You know what the reach is up to this time is 2,235. Tingnan nyo. Hindi nyo kasi nakikita yung mga reach ng mga post na. But if, gawa nga ako ng isang post niyan one time, papakita ko yung mga laman nito. When I say I am being throttled, what do I mean? And how do I know? Like that one. Isipin mo, 2,000 lang daw yung nakakita nun. And what was in there na nakakagulat? Oh, si Zelensky, which I just posted, 4 hours ago, already reached 9,700. And throttled pa to, sinasabi nyo. Oh, and yung hinahanap nyo na video na hindi nyo mahanap yung kagabi, only 381 people saw it in my page. And before this, a single post in my page used to reach about 50,000 or more. Yun, so, yung kasike, tulog na. Tulog na si kasike. Actually, alipin ko yung alipin nata to siya. Neo-nachos. Parang COVID. O yun, hindi mo rin masyado yung COVID. Oh. Kaya nga ngayon, gusto ko tumulong, mag-promote na magpa-vaccine kayo, di ba? Kasi di ba, yung problema natin ngayon, walang nagpapa-vaccine at nag-expire natin yung mga vaccine. Narinig ko. May mga nag-expire na hindi na natuturo. How can we help? Mag-post ka lang, ipa-flag ka. Tatay Strauss, in the late 70s, the people of San Francisco, Camotes Islands near Cebu, dug out some skeletons on a beach. They were too big and lengthy. They suspected they belonged to Magellan and his men. Why would they transport it to another place? Ayan, si Andy Fern would be able to tell us here. Did Pigafetta's account, wala akong makita niyan. Pigafetta. In fact, tayo na lang naman nandito. Kita ko lang itong isang Oh, you can see this. Whatever I put up here, you can see pala. Oh my God. This is nice. Buti na lang walang kaduda-duda dyan na nilagay ko sa likod. Alam ko kasi, yung mga news sites lang na tungkol sa Russian-Ukraine bawal sa YouTube. Really? Kaya pala pag maghanap ka ng Zelensky sa YouTube, parang napaka-konti lang yung lumalabas. Oh, I didn't know. Late minsan po pumapasok mga posts mo. Kaya nga, it's really, really throttled. And I will put up something there you will like. Saan ba ako dito? Saan ba to? Where am I? Here. Alright. Okay. This one I'm still trying to translate, and once I do, we'll share this with you. And the title of this one is Down, 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 Down. Dami kasi yung papel dito eh. You know, manifesto, programa, de la Colonia Filipina Reformista, residente en Madrid. 10 de Febrero de 1898. Matutuwa si Tatay Strauss nito. Tatay Strauss. Hindi pa ito nakita ng mga Pilipino, Tatay Strauss. Ito natin na pag-usapan. Sinong pumirma dito, Tatay Strauss? Taga saan ba ito si Tatay Strauss? Taga Cebu ito eh. Mga pangalan na. There you go. Back cover. Balik. Baka may mga ninuno kayo dito nakapirma. Sino nakapirma? Dami naman papel. Balik. Sige. Taas. Yun. Ang dulo. Por ser así, no intentamos los reformistas filipinos constituir, por ahora al menos, parte integrante de ningún partido político peninsular, en la esperanza de que todos ellos haciendo justicia en nuestras intenciones nos participarán. Su decidido concurso pues no puedan mostrarse ajenos a nuestras desidias de olvidar que allá en las lejanas latitudes de Oceania habita un pueblo que sobre contribuir a los gastos generales del Estado, propagando las estaciones de Fernando Po, las consignaciones al duque de Veragua, al marqués de Bedmar, los sultanes y datos y Juló y Mindanao. De datos y sultanes y Juló y Mindanao. Los consultados de Pekín, Tokio, Hong Kong, Singapur, Melbourne, Saigon, y Yokohama. Una cátedra de la Universidad Central. El persona y material del ministro de Ultramar. Incluso el Consejo de Filipinas, parte de la conservación del Archivo de Indias y todas las pensiones, cesantías, jubilaciones y retirados de los empleados civiles y militares de aquellas islas, lo cual suma la importante cantidad 5,890,600 pesetas. Ahora rechazando las invasiones de los chinos, ahora arrojando a los ingleses de Manila, ahora combatiendo en el Tonkin, en el Jolo, en Mindanao, y ahora contribuyendo a vencer la insurrección, supo consejar laureles dignos de nuestra patria, la siempre noble y heroica España. Ang sinasabi nila, hindi kami umaalis sa Espanya. Sino ang nagsabi nung Madrid at 10 Pebrero 1898? Si Tomas Arejola de Camarines, Manuel Corominas de Camiguin, Simplicio de la Cruz de Bulacan, Manuel Lorenzo de Manila, Ramon Frias de las Islas de Negros, Casto Gallego el Labrador de Zambales, Vicente Ilustre de Batangas, Pascual en Poblete de Cavite o Poblete ng Cavite, Isabelo de los Reyes de Masicato, de Ilocos, Celestino Rodriguez de Cebu, Tatay Strauss, Jose Rodriguez de Manila, Eulogio Rodriguez Jr. Avenue ba ito? Domingo Samson de Albay and Jesus Banyo de Bocol. What do they say and how do they interpret the insurrection in the Philippines? They call it an insurrection, ha? Hindi po revolution. Oy. Written in 1998 by our fellow Filipinos. We will discuss this some other time because it's a nice material. I don't want to be stuck translating word for word as we go along. Because Feta wrote that they sailed for 4 hours to reach Lapu-Lapu's island, which is only plausible if they went to Camotes from Cebu. You are so right. Unless Tatay Strauss, na-establish ba kung saan yung lugar ni Humabon? Baka nasa likod eh. Kung ang lugar ni humabon was in another place of Cebu from the other side, then they must have to go around it to go to. Pero sabi nila, nandiyan dyan sa ano, no? Kung nasaan yung Santo Niño ngayon, yun yung lugar ni humabon. So it must just be across the channel. Tama kayo. What's that? Kabayong bundat? Ni Espanyol. Libro Espanyol. I'm curious about the historical inconsistencies. Ito si ano, na nakita ni Judy Fern. Yeah. Sa akin din. Correct. Yo. Uy, lumagpas na tayo ng 2 oras. Baka ma-delay na naman yung ating pag-post ito. But anyway, Philippine history is a very, very nice subject matter. Bakit ba ako nang interesado dyan? No, napilitan lang akong malaman itong mga bagay-bagay na to dahil wala nga masabi siya, no? Nora. So, know you're still visible. Audio is good as well. Yeah, because yung kay Attorney Ahmed the signal, when it joins the and it's very, very slow, nagkakaroon talaga kami ng problema sa so here, this is a 50-page, it's just a 32 pages lang na document written by Filipinos in Spain explaining what the Filipinos really want and what can be done to actually fix the problem. So these people, para sa akin offhand, this represents like tayo and yung katipunero, mga NPA. That is the relationship or the magkakatumbas ng mga bagay-bagay. So good night and hope you had a sleepy night. Sabi ko nga pampatulog to eh. Tama ba? Napapatulog ba kayo or nagising kayo lalo na yung Mindanao pala ay napaka-interesting. So, para tayo, good night tayo dito, ay replay natin dito. Yun, dito na. Pahabol so wala na. You kailangan, okay, yes, okay, last night, okay. Kakakuha ko pa lang ng ice cream. Bakit? Gusto mo pa? More? Okay, ano to? Hindi. Ako na-curious ako bago ko ipatayin kasi mawawala din to pag pinatay ko na. 10, 15, 20. Who is funding this? It was shelved. Foreign ba ang nagpa-fund nito? Alam niyo yung Espanya. Yung Espanya kasi, tinitingin ko talaga, they were paid to shut up. Or they have a commitment to shut up. Because they can actually easily dispel all of these rumors. No? Gracias. Mangga mahogany. Hasta la baby. Hasta la vista, baby. So, mag-play tayo ng... Hingi ako ng mga music kung sino may mga music sa inyo na original kayong gumawa, para magamit natin dito. Ano yun? Tatay Strauss Meron. So, dito tayo kay Musikerong Panday.
Alon ng kapalaran, tumigil na sa iyong pang-aabuso sa akin. Ako'y nasindak ng alurin sa baybayin ng kahirapan at kalungkutan. sinabi ng aking kapalaran, wala na akong pag-asa, yurap na aking dangal, wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan o alon ng kapalaran. Sana'y tumigil na. Ang tindi ng sinabi ng aking kapalaran, wala na akong pag-asa, yurap na aking dangal, wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan o alon ng kapalaran.